Welcome back to the old arcade. We are heading out through the wonderful cornfields of Indiana, heading out just outside the state of Indiana to Pontiac, Illinois, and we are collecting a Sega Turbo. So this machine is fully functional, which is very cool. I really like this cab. The sheer mechanics of it. You've got the wheel, the pedal, the shifter, the gauges, the LED clusters, the whole shebang. It's a very, very cool cabinet. We went running out the door, did forget to pick up the gimbal for the camera, did forget the microphone, so my cameraman Charlie's doing his best with the tools that I've given him, so apologies if we're a little bit shaky and you can't hear me that well. But we're about halfway there. We will collect the machine as usual, take it back home, check it over, and we will see you back at the house. We have just gotten back home and there is our Sega Turbo standing up in the bed of the truck. Why is it standing in the bed of the truck, you might ask? Well, we bought a friend, and ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example of how not to transfer arcade machines. If there is any suggestion that the pickup you're going to may have other machines present, and if you are low on willpower, you may end up taking one or more machines home with you, not just the one that you went for. That is very much the case here. So I was actually fairly underprepared for a second machine. Certainly not for two machines that wouldn't sit laying down on their backs side by side in the bed of the truck. Hence, our Sega Turbo is upright, and as you've already probably told from the artwork, this is an Asteroids Deluxe. It is getting late. It's getting very late, and I need to get these off the truck, so I'm going to cut this one short for now, and then we will take a better look at these two machines tomorrow. And here they are. Here is our Asteroids Deluxe with pretty good looking side art. A little bit of damage on the front corner here, but otherwise all original, pretty good shape. It needs a bit of a cleaning off. I've already done about down to about halfway there, so you can tell it's looking a little bit cleaner in these spots than it is down in these spots. So we'll get to finishing that cleaning up here shortly. We'll just look around the rest of the cab real quick. I've given the control panel overlay a very good cleaning as well. That was pretty dirty. And I've given, for what it's worth, the screen a bit of a clean as well with some glass cleaner, as well as the marquee and a little bit on top. Basically, I was a little bit restless last night, so I started doing a little bit of work off camera. Now I'm pretty tight for space down here, so I'm going to be taking one of these cabs down to the basement. But before I tell you which one, let's have a little look at Sega Turbo. So here is Sega Turbo, which is in okay condition. It's got some holes drilled here and there that will need filling up. Needs a little bit of work, obviously, and what's going on with that. We've got a stuck coin return. When I arrived at the gentleman's house, a lovely guy called John, when I arrived at his house, this was fully working, it was running, it was playing, and it was fine. And I've actually had both of these machines plugged in. And Sega Turbo's not very happy right now. It's making all kinds of interesting noises and not playing. So, in terms of which one's going down the basement, it's not Sega Turbo, it's actually going to be Asteroids Deluxe. So looking at the Asteroids Deluxe machine at John's house, it was not producing any sound. And John said that it hadn't been working. And we gave it a little bit of a bumpy ride, trying to get it up from John's basement. And when I plugged this in and turned it on and started a game, guess what? It's miraculously fixed itself. So there's the irony. Sega Turbo, which was fully functional when we picked it up and set off on our journey, is now not. And Asteroids Deluxe, that was partially functional, is now seemingly fully functional. And I was having a good old play on it last night. Popped myself a high score on there. So again, Asteroids Deluxe has the spot down in the basement that we're going to open up there. And then I think we're going to be full and need to be rotating machines through as we do a few little fixes to them. This machine included is going to need some fixes. It's starting to separate a little bit on this side. Not entirely sure why. So what we need to do is finish off giving this side a bit of a clean down. We are going to do a little bit of a pirouette. We're going to clean the other side, and we're going to have a look on the inside and make sure there's nothing nefarious going on in there. I've already had the back off real quick just to see what was flopping around in there, and it was actually the power supply had been making some noise. It wasn't secured in, and I really should have checked that before we left. But the power supply is going to need a quick looking at. There was some paperwork that I pulled out as well. We can have a quick look and see what was included there. So we'll finish with the cleaning and make sure that she's in a fit state to take down the basement. So we'll get on with that now. As I said, we've already cleaned the top half, so we'll just give you a quick look and see how rapidly this super clean takes off some of these real dirty areas down here. I think this is just dirt. Don't think it's mold or anything nefarious like that, but we will give it a quick hose down and make sure that that comes off okay. You'll notice that I'm wearing a glove on the hand which is going to be exposed to the super clean. I've made the mistake of getting my hand saturated quite a lot, and it's not very good for your skin, so we're wearing a glove. Can already see what's coming off. I guess I didn't get up the top there that well. I said I was going to focus on the bottom, but let me just get this bit up here real quick. That's got it. Just cleaning up a treat. Okay, I just need to switch out the paper towel. Oh, I don't know, running my hand across the bottom here, there's a little bit of a wobble to it. I think we might have a little bit of damp damage on there, a little bit of water damage. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't look very nice. There we go. I think that might be good for now. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse with some water spray. Super. We'll get a spun around and take a look at the other side. I'll give you a quick look over this side as I catch my breath after shifting this machine around. It's pretty dirty. You can especially see that on the white. More difficult to see on the coloured areas, but we've got some stuff to clean up there. So, interestingly, we've got some nails on this side. The side that is pulling away. So, something's going on with the side of this cabinet here, and I don't like that very much. I've had to do the same on the back by the look of things, which is a bit disappointing. But let's give this thing a clean up and then take a look on the inside. We'll start with the top half. Give it a little bit of a dousing, a bit of a rub. It's pretty filthy. But then again, this super clean does a great job of getting any kind of dirt off. It's a bit warm in here. Should have put the fan on. Yep, definitely need to switch out towels. And what I generally do with this super clean, again, is to give it a first going over, give it a second going over, and then I'll just spray some on the paper towel and do some spot stuff. And I'll check the paper towel to see that it's still getting dirt off. And as long as it's getting dirt off, we'll keep going. Got a weird brown stain on this side that's not coming off with a super clean. I wonder if that's had some heat next to it or something. Yeah, we're starting to clean up. Okay, now down with the bottom half. I'm giving this a good dousing because it's not quite as clean down the bottom section here as it was at the top. You can already see it's the super clean's taking some of this dirt with it. Oh gosh, don't breathe this stuff in. This black stuff's interesting. I wonder what that is. We've got some paint transfer just here from something that was blue. And yeah, we've got some, oh dear, we've got some swollen wood going on here. Yeah, this has got some damage on this side, that's for sure. I don't think this discoloration is going to come off the bottom here. And we are losing a few bits. Okay. I wonder if this side might be shot. That would be a bit disappointing. I'm going to take a little look at this nail, which is kind of half out and bent over. Let's see if I can't grab a hammer and a punch. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. There we go. That's a bit better. Still don't like that it's there. Now that we've got the close-up going on, you can probably see better what I'm talking about with this black, whatever this is going on here. I'm not sure if that's transferred paint or whether that's some kind of mold or something, but I might have to get something scrubby out and see if we can get that off, or some isopropyl alcohol maybe, because the super clean doesn't seem to be doing all that much. Well, maybe it's taken a bit off here. Yeah, it is taking it off. Okay, yeah, it's coming off. Let's see if we can get some to just sit on there for a second. And saturate this shop towel and just let it sit on there for a moment. There we go. I got that little spot off. Actually, rubbing it dry seems to be taking it off. Unless I'm damaging something else here. What's going on? That's weird. That's proper weird. Oh, we're getting shop towel in our nail hole. Right, I think I'm good enough with that for now. Till we get it down the basement, we can give it another little go down there. Based on where I'm going to put the machine, this side is going to be open. Okay, well, shifting this thing around to get to the back has just opened this side right up, and I don't like the look of this at all. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think we might leave Asteroids in here for the minute. I'm going to move this to one side, and I'm going to have a little tinker with Sega Turbo and see if anything's dropped loose in there, and maybe we'll take that down to the basement instead based on what we've just found here. But this is really just opened right up, and I'm really not very keen on that. Before we do anything else, I did promise you a little look at what I found inside this cabinet when we took the back off, and we have a operation, maintenance and service manual, which seems to be pretty complete. We've got some loose pages going on here. Oh, we've got schematics. That's cool. Oh, signal gain corrected. What does that say? I'm not sure. But they look like resistor references and diode references, and that's presumably what's been circled on here. So it's had some work done to it. So this is the schematic for the deflection amplifier, which is basically what drives this vector monitor. So this has had some work done to the monitor in the past by the look of things. And yeah, yet more stuff done on here as well. So, interesting. This has been worked on here in the past. Must have had some problems with that monitor. These seem to be then the maintenance records kept with this machine. So that's kind of cool to get to see that. So this is all that was in there. I think we'll get the back off. Got to take a screw out here. Obviously we've got some damage on the back, so there's no lock holding this together. So there's a screw holding it in. I'll go grab my screwdriver, we'll pop that out and we'll have a look on the inside. I'm not sure where my electric is, and that's fine. I had this to hand. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way real quick. I say real quick, there we go. And the back is off. All right. So I think the first thing to note here, which is quite obvious, is that we're missing some of the background. It looks like it's effectively been ripped off, which is, again, a little bit disappointing to see that sort of damage. So I guess we're in the market for a replacement background at some point, but we'll worry about that later. We've got some interesting cut and shut work done on here. I'm guessing by the screw holes there that we did have an interlock switch on this, which got taken out. So we might have to do something about that as well. But what about this power supply, eh? Just kind of lounging around in the back there. It needs securing up onto these wooden plinths, I don't know, pillars, what would you call those? We have a, oh my, we have a loose header there. That was immediately obvious when I just put my thumb on that. So that might be the cause of audio dropout. Right, so I'm going to take that out and take a little look at that. Here's our game board, which actually looks pretty clean. What does it say on there? Ah, PCB serviced by Starbase Alpha. Good job, guys. Yeah, the game works. What else have we got down here? We've got a foam pad. Not quite sure where that's from. What I'm looking for is screws, because I'm not seeing any screws for mounting the power supply back up onto the board there. So, let's get the light turned on and see what else we can see inside here. There we go, we are illuminated. So there's nothing down the back there. Nothing really down here. There's a sticker hiding right down here. Oh, hello, what's this? There's a couple of things hidden down the back there. I might have to put you down for a second to see if I can get down there. Oh, they just disappeared from me. No, really not much else going on there. What we got there? Now that looks like a tie. So yeah, we've got some kind of tie going on there. Oh, we've got another sticker that's come off. This says, warning, hazardous voltages exist under this cover. Crikey. I believe that came from there. Or that would have been some kind of cover for the monitor, because you get some pretty zappy voltages coming from those bad boys. But who knows? We can always stick that back on. I'm going to put that to one side, keep that safe. As with all these cabs, when I start finding stuff, I grab a little Ziploc and collect anything that's kind of, you know, loose in the cabinet, so that I can keep them to one side. Okay. Right, I'm just going to see if I can get this stuff out that disappeared underneath here. Be right back. Well, it wasn't this stuff per se, it was another sticker, and this one came from the monitor. So we've got a 19V2000 in here, vector monitor. Very cool. I'll put that to one side. Let's go ahead and get this power supply disconnected so that we can take a little bit of a better look at it. Yeah, a couple of these headers are not feeling all that great. There we go, and away. That's interesting. So this is the header for the audio, and it is a little bit wobbly. It's a lot a bit wobbly, but looking on the back of the board, I don't see that there's a problem with the pins. Nothing's kind of moving to suggest a dry joint or anything. So I'm just going to take this in the house and get it on the mat and take a better look at it. Here we have the 4 pins on the underside of that header. I'm going to start by introducing a little bit of good quality fresh leaded solder, so that we can then fully desolder these pins. Just get them flowed again nicely. There we go, just a touch. All right, now we can work on desoldering the pins. For the desoldering, I'm going to use a desoldering gun. This is my Hakko FR301, fantastic weapon. If you're doing any kind of desoldering job, you need something like this in your arsenal. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can catch this on camera for you. So we're just going to come right in here. And we're done. Okay, and out it drops. And now it's immediately obvious what was wrong with this header. We've got a pin, or at least part of a pin, left in here. And when you look at the underside of the connector, we can see where our missing pin is. And what I need to still do is get this remaining piece of pin out of here, so maybe I can do that with my desoldering gun if I'm lucky. Let's get that right on the edge there. There we go. Just going to grab my tweezers real quick. Just switch back to my soldering iron because I think we might be able to whip this out real quick. A little bit easier than using the desoldering gun here. I got my tweezers. And if that fails, we need to put a little bit of... There we go. Got it. I was about to say if that fails, we'll need to put a little bit of solder on here to create a heat bridge. But that seems to have got it. I've got here my pin extractor tool. I'm going to see if I can't make a temporary fix on this by popping this pin out and then seeing if we can't extend the leg somehow. Got the pin out. Sorry you didn't get to see that particularly well. I just had to take this out to the garage and put it in the vise to get the extractor tool pushed down over the pin itself far enough, because it was getting... I wasn't able to do it just by hand pushing it down on the countertop here. So that the idea is that you get this tool pushed down over the top and this hollow cylinder goes all the way down and pushes the flanges back in, and then you push the ejector and it kind of puts a rod down the middle there and it just pops it out. That's how this very simple extractor tool works. But sometimes you need a little bit of extra muscle, so I did have to go and use the vise for that. What I think I'm going to try and do though with this here pin, because otherwise it's in perfectly reasonable condition, I'm going to get the leg of a component of some sort and solder that in on here so we get a little bit of additional length, and then hopefully we can pop this back in and then get it soldered back up to the board just as a temporary fix till I can get some more pins ordered. Well, of course I can't find where my spare legs have gone, so I'm just going to take this spare capacitor and make the short leg a little bit shorter. We wouldn't want to make the longer leg the shorter one because that would definitely confuse somebody later on. That somebody would be me. Now I think what I'm going to do is just tin this connector up a little bit first with some solder. That's probably going to get hot quick, so I don't want to hold it for that long. And then, if we're lucky, clean that off. Here's our leg. Come on, you. Ooh, you rat bag. We're going to tin up our leg. Got it. Not real happy with that little peaky blob of solder on there. So let's just tidy that up real quick. There we go. Not too shabby. Let's pop this back in. So I'll go ahead and correct myself at this point. I was absent-mindedly referring to this as the power supply. This is the audio regulator board, and this has clearly been worked on before as well. You can see that these caps have been replaced. So I'm going to go ahead and tack this in, and I want to be careful not to tack in the pin that we just added, because There's going to be a little bit of luck involved here. When we solder that pin in, the heat's going to travel up it real quick and potentially desolder it where we just soldered it on. So we want to avoid that being the first pin that we tack in. So that was pin 3. So we don't want to tack in pin 3. So let's get this flipped over. And pin 3 is this one here. So we're going to go ahead and tack in the one that's opposite. A bit of solder. Okay, and that's tacked in. Going to do so we're going to do this pin followed by this pin, soldering them in fully. And then fully soldering in the pin that we tacked. And now soldering in our problem pin. So hopefully it doesn't go anywhere. I think we got it. We no longer have a wobbly connector. Fantastic. That's a good temporary fix right there. Now, as I've been looking over the underside of this board, there's a couple areas that I don't really like the look of. There's a ground pin on this capacitor here that I'm just going to touch up a little bit. And there's this joint here that looks very close to being a cold solder. So we're going to get some, there we go, good quality solder down on top of that one. And that looks much better on both sides of the board. Yep, I'm happy with that. I think that's good for now. We've proved that this audio regulator is actually working. It just had that dodgy connection on there. So we're going to get this back in the machine for now. We just need to find something to mount this up. These top 2 holes is where it mounts up onto the wooden panel there. So we'll need to find something for that. So we just found another couple pieces in the bottom of the machine. This kind of rubber, I guess a gateway grommet would normally like go in something metal. I don't think it goes in here. I think that's what these plastic standoffs are for, because there's 2 of them, coincidentally. I found a couple screws. Hopefully these will be long enough to get through into the wood there. I gave the cabinet a bit of a vacuuming, so it's tidier in there. But one of the things I think I need to do is I just brushed up against that foam pad. It's deteriorated, and you can see it's kind of left a little witness there of its falling apartness. So I'm going to use the vac to see if I can kind of suck up the rest of that so it doesn't drop itself all over the place, and actually get rid of that. I don't have a replacement, so we'll live without it at this point, just to get the machine back together. So let's have a quick go at that. That's got it. Okay, let's take a little look and see how this is going to fit. There's a little slot in the bottom of the wood there that I think that's supposed to sit in. Yep. And then there we go. We've got a couple of holes that are pretty well lined up. So I will go ahead and start one of the screws off. Let's try this one. Right, so maybe that pre-existing hole, oh no, it's straightened itself out. I was going to say maybe it's a little bit wonky. but I'm okay with that. There we go. I don't know as if we really need these plastic inserts, but I'm kind of okay using them because it keeps the head of the screw up away from the PCB while still having enough thread to secure the board in there. So give that a couple of tweaks. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're very good. So we can get these connectors back in and they won't be flopping around in there anymore. That's 2. There's 3. Perfect. And looking at this, there's only 2 connections on here, and indeed one of them was pin 3, a broken pin. So that will explain a thing or two. Ta-da, back panel's back on. We're just going to twist the machine counterclockwise again so we can get to the front and have a little look up in the marquee area. Make sure that there's nothing weird hanging around in there, and I'll just give this top a little clean off as well in the process. No, I don't expect anything nefarious to be going on up here, because I certainly didn't see any evidence inside the machine of anything nasty going on. But we're going to take a look all the same. That felt a bit weird. Whoa. That is a what should be an 1/8 hex bolt, if these other ones are anything to go by. And well, you can see for yourself it's been pretty much stripped out there. Let's see what's going on with this one. We're missing one in the middle. This middle one's not here. So I might be able to pop down to Lowe's or something. It's right around the corner and just grab a couple decent bolts real quick. Well, that one's intact at least. There we go. It's got a bit of a bend going on that. We'll see if we can straighten that out. I think I've just realised where something came from that I found inside the cabinet. I'll show you in a second. Okay. Marquee's in pretty good condition. I will just give this a quick wipe over. I don't know what that is. Alright, doesn't appear to be anything nefarious going on in there. All good. I might just run the vac in there real quick, tidy it up. A little bit of super clean on the back of the marquee. I will take this bracket over to my vise, which is on the corner of the bench there. I have to be real quick not to slice my leg up again, tiptoeing around those monitors. And then I'm thinking, based on this thing not falling apart yet, it doesn't look great, but you give it a kick and it seems to be holding its own. And there we go, the bracket's all straight. Just popped it in the plastic jaws, tweaked it down a little bit, and it's good to go. And there's our marquee, all nicely cleaned up. A couple of goings over with the super clean, rinsed it off again with the spray water. We're good to reinstall. I was almost forgetting. This is what I found inside the machine that I had a bit of an aha moment about. This appears to be some kind of sticky backed, I don't know, like a trim piece or something. I wondered if it actually went on the bottom of the marquee, and no, maybe not, it's not long enough. I'll put it to one side, we might figure out where it came from at some point. And I just double checked to make sure that we do have a T-nut in this center one that was missing, and we certainly do. So I am going to check the thread size on this. And it is a number 10 by 32, or also an M5 by 0.8. So take your pick. Do you like metric or standard? All right, we have our marquee mounted again. I did take the opportunity to get some steps in, walk out to my local hardware store, which is around the corner, looking for some replacement bolts. They had every size but the one that I wanted. So I've just thrown that one back in there temporarily because I've decided that Asteroids Deluxe is not going down the basement. I have a little bit of work to do, and I'll show you a couple of the things that I need to do. First of all, let's hit the magic switch down the bottom here. Just to check that the audio is still working after we've made that fix. And I can already hear the buzz from the speaker, so I am pretty sure we're good. Sorry that there's this glare on the screen. You can just about see the image starting to come up there. And what you might be able to see is the wobble. I've got some wobble going on. So I think this monitor needs a little bit of a look at. I'm going to buy a cap kit for it, of course, and just some other things in line with the service manual, make sure that everything's cool. And yeah, let's just check that sound. Yep, trying to play one-handed. We seem to be good. Audio is working. Cool. The other thing that I really need to check out is this side panel. It is coming away from the rest of the cabinet, and I've tried sort of pushing it back together, but for some reason it really doesn't want to go. So there's something preventing that from happening. Look, you can see daylight through there, and that's not right. And if there were nothing in the way, I should be able to just bash that back in, which I tried to do with my little handy dandy persuader, but it hasn't made any difference. So I want to investigate that a little bit. I'm getting a really nasty glare off the plexi from the front there, so we're just going to stand a little bit to the side while I talk about this. So while I am doing the monitor work and looking at the side of the cabinet there to figure out what's going on, I'm probably going to find some replacement artwork. Again, it's missing that sort of lower fifth, and I think I know why that is. It's due to the way that the previous owner moved this cabinet around. Apparently what they would do to get it down the stairs in their basement is take this back panel off, and then they would put the plate of the dolly in here, in this opening. So it would sit on there and then slide it down wooden rails that they temporarily screwed into their basement steps and kind of slide it down forwards. Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's cardboard artwork behind here, and you can probably chop that off if you stick that part of the dolly in the back of the cabinet. So yeah, given that explanation by the seller, I'm kind of not surprised to see that part of the artwork is gone. But there we go. All right, here is Sega Turbo down in the basement. I'm still having issues with it. I've pulled the back panel off. I brought it down here, I hit the power button, and it was making the same, well, similar sort of nasty noises. Same but different. Not exactly the same as we saw up in the garage there. So I've actually already had these boards out. This is essentially a 3-board stack. You've got the 2 boards touching one another there, and you've got another board behind it, which I believe is the audio board. I'll get stuck into these game boards a little bit more, but what I started out by doing is messing around with the CPU here. It's only held in with 3 fasteners. It's got 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. And yeah, it seems as though there's a problem with this area of the board. I gave it a bit of a wiggle. I actually took the boards all out and I cleaned up the contacts for all of the connectors, all of these edge connectors, all of these ribbon cables, the socket underneath the CPU. I haven't removed all of the socketed chips and cleaned all of those up yet. This was just a quick look to see if I could get the game working as is. And before we get on to pressing the power button, I just wanted to show you another couple things that I've found interesting inside here. Let's take a look with the light on. Actually, before we get inside the cabinet, I want to talk about outside the cabinet. I've noticed that the leg levelers for this machine are absent, completely gone. They're supposed to have the little square leg leveler mounts on the underside here. All 4 of them gone. No sign of leg levelers whatsoever. So I just ran out to the hardware store and got some of these little felt pads just to stick them into each of the corners so that I can more easily slide this around down here in the basement and not worry about, you know, the wood on the underside getting damaged or anything. So it's the little things, right? But let's take a look inside here. So I noticed that there was some treasures down in here. So I wanted to just look with the light on and see if we could figure out what we've got. So that's a lock retainer. Ew, I don't know what this crud stuff is here. We've got some fasteners. Okay, they might be useful. So let's grab those out. Got a bracket of some sort. I'm just putting them on this piece of paper so that we can see it a little bit better. What else we got? Washer, screw, kind of stuck up in the corner there. Oh, what are you doing? Split washer. So, split washer, big washer, little screw. What else we got? Another washer. Don't know where that's from. Don't know where any of this stuff's from, but we'll figure it out. That's it for actual potentially useful stuff, I think. I'm interested in what is going on with this little pile of stuff here, actually. We've got a couple of pennies. It's not going to get much of a game, not on Sega Turbo. You need 2 quarters. A screw and what? Wait, what on earth is this? That looks like a piece of a chip. Like the top casing of a chip. Oh gosh. I didn't see any damage on the boards when I pulled them out and looked at them. Another bit of a lock. That's kind of concerning. I'm going to take another look at the game boards. Make sure that I didn't overlook a busted chip on there. Yeah, the rest of that just needs vacuuming out. One thing I did notice is, once again, on the outlet side of our power cable, the ground pin is absent. We do have ground connection back in here. So I'm going to have to replace that power cable that goes into this block here. So that's one other thing that needs doing. What else did I notice in here? This is the back of the accelerator pedal. That's all the electronics associated with that. It does. It's not got a full potentiometer on there, I don't think. I haven't looked at it that closely yet, but in looking at the test mode, it does have 3 different stages of depression, and they appear to be working. I did notice something up in here. So a couple of fasteners on the coin door aren't fastened, and here's one for you. Go figure this one. This is green, so I'm guessing this is supposed to be a ground strap, but look where it goes. Goes from here, up there, around there, through that clip, and ta-da, back to itself. Yay! That is a very, very useful ground cable right there. So we're going to have a little look and figure out where that's supposed to go. We are missing a coin mech as well. And interestingly, this one, even though it's on the right, which would typically be player 2, it is registering as player 1. I'll need to have another little look at the wiring here, and better still get the schematics, because I'd like to know if I'm missing some wiring. I don't see anything obvious here for a second coin mech. So I'd like to look at the schematics and see what's supposed to be there. But obviously we're going to have to look at the schematics here for fixing the game itself, because as I said, we're about 90% functional, and I'll show you what's wrong with it here in a second. But before we go to that, let's just recap the treasures. So I was hoping I was going to see like retaining clips for the cage, because I believe it's supposed to have retaining clips on the outside here to stop the game board sliding back. That's one of the things I should have checked before shipping this, because these boards are able to kind of slip back and forth in here, which is not ideal. Indeed, when I pulled this back panel off, they kind of all slid backwards in the cage there, so they were kind of sliding around that whole journey, which is not so good. So you've got holes in the top here for another retaining bracket of some sort, but these are not them. These are for something else, and I'm going to have to think about what they could be for. I'm wondering if these didn't go behind the holes like that. This had a kind of one of those coin box bars on it. I'm wondering if this sat behind the bolts that held those coin bolt fasteners in. Maybe. But other than that, nothing particularly exciting going on in here. I mean, I'm going to keep hold of all this hardware in case I find a missing screw or something at some point in the future. We have got to replace the lock on the rear door. I mean, this isn't the hardware from that. This looks as though it could be, because for some reason they've got one of those on there. It could be something to do with the lower door, maybe. Not sure. Haven't opened that yet. But yeah, this is the thing that worries me the most. This chip packaging, I guess you'd call it. 78M12UC. That's what worries me most, and making sure that we're not missing something in here. And again, I haven't seen anything, nothing jumped out to me. I had all three boards out, all three boards apart, and nothing jumped out to me, with the exception of something going on underneath the processor, which I'll come back to. Anywho, enough of this jibber jabber. Let's get on and push the power button, and I can show you what is happening with this game. For starters, that fan is very noisy. I'm going to have to take that out and see if I can't service that fan. But here we are. It's working. Or so it would appear. Keep an eye on the sprite for the vehicle. You see it's got some corruption going on there. Or maybe you can't because of the glare. Let me just move to the side for a sec. The corruption's not always in the same spot. You just saw it pop up there. There you go. And there are actually clash detection issues when you get to the levels that go around like the side of the mountain curve, the blind mountain curve. It just keeps crashing out all the time. Nowhere near a car, nowhere near the side. It just crashes out all the time. So there's something going on with the clash detection with this as well. That's there. How's that for timing? That's the level that I'm talking about. Now it seems to play this sort of demo part of it okay, but when you're actually playing it yourself, it's a bit messed up. And I'm not even kidding. It's not just my terrible playing of this game that's doing it. It literally, there's something up with the clash detection. And also, it doesn't play the engine noise properly. The sound is messed up, and I can show you, I think, where that might sit. If I hit the test switch here, we go into test mode. So the EEPROM test 63, 64, 65 will test good. Press the test button again. RAM test is good. Press the button again. So we can do the control tests. Let's just do that for giggles. So as I mentioned, coin switch 1 seems to be activated when you hit the coin switch down here, which it's on the right, so would typically be coin switch 2. So I'm going to tag it here. There you go. Ding dong. Coin switch 1. Service switch, which is generally what you would press to give you credits anyhow. That works. Start button down here. It's not flashing. This is an LED illuminated button and it does not illuminate. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's a problem with the logic boards not activating that. It seems to have some kind of interlock going on between low gear and the start switch. Maybe an interlock to make sure that you're in low gear before you can start a game. Maybe. I don't know enough about this cabinet for sure, but I just took a quick look at the wiring back here and that kind of jumped out to me as maybe a possibility there. But anyway, the start button, it works when you press it, so that's cool. What else have we got going on here? The shifter, so that's in low is on and in high is off. So low for on, high for off. The accelerator pedal, as I mentioned, I'm going to depress that so it goes in increments up to 3. Well, I guess technically you've got 4 positions for it, haven't you? You've got 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that's 4 positions. All of these displays work. Hang on, let's get to that as well. Have we checked? Oh, steering wheel. Steering wheel. Look at that. So it's got a similar mechanism to trackballs sat behind here. And this all works. Although, if you spin it left hard, it doesn't sound so good, especially compared to when you spin it right. I don't know if you can pick that up on the mic, and it doesn't react as well going to the left either. It's slower to react. It seems as though there's something going on there, so we need to take a look at that. But all the controls and inputs and buttons and everything are seeming like they're working pretty cool. But we will get to one of the other issues here shortly. So this is the 7 segments LED test. Press the start button to increment number. All right, well, we're full of zeros on the left there at the moment. They're all working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, back to 0. So they're all working just fine. So that's cool. The next test section, I did just press the test button and it didn't move on, which is interesting. And I'm pressing start and nothing's happening over there. So that leads me to believe there's something going on here already. And we get to the sound test and it says press the start button to change sound. So we'll do that. Sound 1, didn't hear anything. Heard a beep for sound 2. That's, I think, the go sound. So that works. Another beep, that works. 5, I didn't really hear anything there, to be honest. That's a crash sound. And interestingly, it didn't do that the last time I had this machine turned on. So I pressed the start button again and it should increment to sound 7, but it doesn't. It makes this horrible sound instead, this droning sound. And it plays this sound when you're playing the game instead of getting the proper engine rev noise. So I think we've got a problem with the soundboard itself. Pressed the start button again and the droning pitch changes. And I'm hitting the start button here, trying to get it to move on. Finally got it to move on to 7, but we've still got the noise going on. So trying desperately to move beyond this horrible noise and cannot. And finally we get beyond 7 onto 8, didn't hear a sound. 9, nothing. 10, nothing. Oh, here we go. There's the ambulance. 11, nothing. Back to the droning sound. So we've got some weirdness going on with that. I'm just going to move beyond that with a test switch. Test mode and okay, stop. Thank you. And we're back to the game, but again, we've got a bit of a high-pitched noise going on here. I'm going to set the camera to one side and just show you a little bit of the gameplay, and maybe we'll pick up some of those issues that I pointed out. Okay, we're set up and I'm just going to pull the coin door open, coin up, if I can find the switch, 1/4, 2/4. So we get to play a game with 50 cents. Start button. There's that droning noise. We're in low gear down here. We're off. High. Ah, crashed already. Okay, we've got a hill that kind of takes you off guard a little bit here. Low gear, high gear. Oh, that guy didn't even go up the hill. Oh, that's thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I'm really not great at this game yet, especially not when I'm having to play around the outside of the camera. Whoa! Seriously? I want to get to I'm sure there's something going on with the clash detection. Generally speaking, here we go. Here we go. Randomly crashing out. It doesn't help that I am physically crashing out with a car there. But there we go. Just crashing out for no reason. So it's kind of difficult to play a game where you don't get to avoid your enemies appropriately. Alright, well, that ambulance had a turn of speed quicker than my race car, apparently. Dang it. Alright, so after a very terrible demonstration of how not to play Sega Turbo, you got to at least experience some of the issues that I was talking about there. For what it's worth, I'll put my name in, it doesn't save them. Oh, there we go. Whee, number 1. So there we go. You got to see the machine as it is presently working. The top 5 high scores get on the board up here. So 3818 is number 1 on the board right now. My score, 3818, which I really like that. It's very, very unique with this cab. Yeah, so we've got some issues to fix here. I think they should be fairly straightforward to fix. I do read a lot that Sega Turbo is a bit of a pig to get working 100%. One thing I mentioned earlier, underneath that CPU is a programmable IC, and one of the legs is lifted, and that leg that's lifted there, I did take a quick look at the schematics. That is a leg for V-blank, and I don't see any reason for it to have been lifted in the way it is. So one of the things I'm going to do real quick is pull the CPU back out, pull that chip out, check it over for other issues, and put the leg back down, pop it back in, see if it fixes any of this weird stuff that's going on. Otherwise, I'm into starting to pull all of the chips out, the socketed chips, clean them off, get them pushed back in, make sure there's no cold solder joints, the usual stuff, because it does appear that there's some connectivity issues going on with the CPU in that general area, probably due to the weight of it and just the years, probably not kind to the chips around that area. Well folks, I think we're going to cut the video there. I don't know how much more effort it's going to take to get the game boards fixed on this thing, so I don't want to delay getting this video out there any longer than I have done already. I want to show you the Asteroids Deluxe that we picked up. I want to show you what a cool Sega Turbo cab we picked up here that's mostly working. Got a little bit of work to do, as discussed, on the Asteroids Deluxe. Got to get that background fixed, got to get the side of the cabinet figured out, try and understand why that's separating on that left-hand side. And we've got some work to do here on the Sega Turbo. We've got to figure out why the sound's a little bit janky, why the clash detection's a little bit janky, and just some minor bits and pieces going on with some of the wiring and whatnot in here. And if you did like what you saw in the video today, why not leave a thumbs up? Like the video. You can leave a comment. I always appreciate the feedback. What did you like? What did you not like so much? Let me know in the comments. Share. Subscribe to the Owl Arcade. That way you will get notified of future videos on this project and others. You'll get to see all of the upcoming projects that we're working on, hopefully get these ones finished off. I will post some future videos on fixing this particular machine. I do feel that the extent of the work required is probably going to take up quite a bit more time. So we will have a future video on this. So until next time, love you. Bye.